Book Club no Kiseki. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
And I'm Matt Jorgensen.
And the portion of Falcom's Kiseki series we'll be playing today is Chapter 3, Days 1 through 3 of Trails from Zero. Be a kind of small episode this week, but they've been pretty beefy lately, so I'm not mad. But before we get started, do you want to buy some death sticks?
No.
Do I want to go home and rethink my life?
I mean, that's up
Also,
to you, man.
no.
What's up, guys?
I've been playing a lot of early Final Fantasy. I blazed through Final Fantasy 2. It's okay. I blazed through Final Fantasy 3. It's okay. I started Final Fantasy 4, which I've played before, of course, and it's amazing. It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, the early Final Fantasy bug is catching in the Discord. A lot of people are playing them, and it might catch me, and I might play some Final Fantasy 5 soon. I've been eyeing it on my Steam Deck.
I plan to play Final Fantasy 5 after I finish 4, and then I'll probably play 6 again. I like Final Fantasy, and I can't play Final Fantasy 7 right now. So I've got to do something.
The only thing you know how to do is play Final Fantasies, and you got to do something.
Yes.
I should watch that movie so that I can be allowed to quote it as much as I do.
It's a good movie.
It's Speed Racer for those who haven't listened to a single episode of this podcast in which we don't reference Speed Racer.
It's a good movie.
What about you, Matt? What have you been up to? If you've played anything good, done anything cool besides work a lot?
Not really. I'm still chipping away at Harvestella. The end of that game, like, if you weren't keeping up with your income, really sinks its feet in and stays a while. Does a real Midwestern goodbye.
Good. You'll love to see it.
I guess I've been kind of poking at Pokemon, the new one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good game. Just a very good game.
Yeah, I need to get back into it. I haven't even done the first gym. I did a bunch of walking around and just catching stuff and hanging out. But then I never picked it back up.
I really enjoy Pokemon Violet. The other day, with the help of a friend, finally completed my Pokedex in it. And I think it is absolutely fantastic for a lot of reasons. And one thing I really appreciate about it is that this time, the things people complaining about are legitimate complaints.
Yeah.
Usually when a Pokemon game comes out, people are just spouting bullshit. But people are like, the frame rate is fucked up and the graphics are fucked up and there's a million bugs. And I'm like, that's all true.
Yeah. What I think is hilarious is when Arceus came out and people were doing normal Pokemon game bullshit with it. And they're like, oh, look, when you fly up, you can see how often the texture repeats or whatever. Like, look how crappy this is. And now that Scarlet and Violet has come out, there's been so many like comparison videos of like, Arceus is the real way you do an open world. Like, look how good Arceus looks compared to Scarlet and Violet. And it's hilarious to me.
Pokemon, much like Final Fantasy, is very like cigarettes in that we'll all keep buying them, but we're all unhappy that they don't taste like the very first one we tried.
I like all Pokemon and all Final Fantasy. That's not true. I don't like Gen 4 very much. But I might like all Final Fantasy, all the main games.
Yeah, I think I like all Final Fantasy. I think I've arrived to liking all Final Fantasy. And I do like all Pokemon, including Gen 4. Gen 4 is one of those those gens, and it helps that it was my first one. But the all of the things it did that changed the series, like the boring like tech debt that it solved, were really good and really important, more than the games are fun to play or the monsters are well designed. It's like the math and battling and the way the boxes work and everything is all good and has been consistently good since then. But like Ambipom looks stupid.
I hate all the new evolutions they added in Gen 4.
They're all bad.
Fucking Magmortor, fucking Lickalicky.
They're bad.
Rhyperior.
Oh, Rhyperior's real bad.
Like, I kind of like Rhyperior. He looks dumb, but in my favorite kind of way.
Yeah, he looks real dumb, but doesn't look like Rhydon, which is important.
Mamoswine's cool.
Yeah, I like Mamoswine. I think that's the only one that gets a pass.
Fucking Tangrowth.
Okay, yeah, that's an abomination.
Yeah.
Are we all just looking at Gen 4 Pokemon now?
I just pulled up Gen 4 Pokemon. I made it to Rhyperior off the top of my head.
Yeah, I was still going off the top of my head. Yanmega is boring. Togekiss is an abomination.
Anyway.
There is I like all Pokemon games, but there's one Final Fantasy game that I think is just okay.
Which is? What's the hot take?
Oh boy.
It's early in the night. Gotta get you canceled before the night is over.
Oh boy, this is gonna get Final Fantasy VI, I think, is just okay.
Huh. That's an interesting opinion.
I can respect that opinion because I know how old you are, and going backwards, it's okay. It's okay. Going from 4 to 6 is mind-blowingly fantastic.
Yes, that's always what I follow this up with, is like, if I was going from 4 to 6, I would adore that game. But I went from 12 to 6, and I played 7, 8, 9, and 10, and 10-2 in between that.
I do think that 6 is not the best one, and is not quite as good as we all remember it being.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
But I do think it's fantastic.
What are we? Are we? Quick, Sam, what's the best Final Fantasy?
Are you asking me which one do I think is the most capital A art, or the one that is my favorite?
The one that is your favorite.
One is my favorite is Final Fantasy VIII because it's stupid and broken and tries really hard, and also is a love story, and I'm a softie.
Bernard.
Probably 7. Maybe 10.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Sam could probably guess what my answer is going to be here.
Is it 6 because Magitek armor is just tanks?
No, it's 12 because it's just bad Star Wars.
Well,
but depending on the day, it's 7.
Yeah, I think 7 is the best one, even though all of its stuff sucks. I think it rules just because it sucks, and in spite of the parts that suck. But if you like,
I don't know what you're talking about. Parts that suck in Final Fantasy VII.
The dolphin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the weird, janky, bespoke mini games that don't stop from keep happening all the time, including moments after a major sad plot twist.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, but it's still good anyways. But Matt, if you like Final Fantasies that are just shitty Star Wars, do I have 6 Final Fantasies to sell you? Because you got 2, you got 4, you got 12.
I've played all the Final Fantasies at this point, other than
You got 6.
I played all the American release Final Fantasies, all except for Type 0 at this point.
They like to keep making Star Wars. If your flavor of Star Wars is not A New Hope, which is the one that they've made a bunch of times, then, but rather the prequels, then you should play Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, because it's just the prequels.
Yeah.
Anywho, I played D&D this week, and by D&D I mean Fate. And by Fate I mean it was using the Fate system to play Call of Cthulhu. And D&D, and it was
so good.
It was fantastic. So the DM wrote a one shot that was just us, and then creepy things happen in Madison, Wisconsin, and it was like tied into the history of Madison, and it was a lot of fun. And have either of you ever played Fate before?
No.
So Fate doesn't have stats, it has skills. And so you just pick some skills that you're good at, pick some skills that you're really good at, pick some skills that you're only okay at, and then you just try and convince the DM, like, oh, because I have a +2 empathy, then I can empathy in this situation more than I have a +2 to dexterity saving throws or whatever. And it's real cool and fun, and I like it a lot. And one thing that I don't know if this is a homebrew that's everywhere or if it's a Tony specific thing, but story points or inspiration is what they call it in D&D 5e. Instead of just being like points that you gather, is you can either be rewarded one for doing good roleplay stuff by the GM, or you can earn one by playing Jenga. And so the more that the party relies on story points to try to do bullshit that their dice aren't letting them, the worse and worse it gets for the party, because if the tower falls, it's basically the entire party rolled a nat one at the same time and bad things happen. And that was very thematic and cool for a Cthulhu game. I liked that a lot. And I had a lot of fun.
Neat.
Yeah. Makes me really want to play some Glitter Hearts, because Glitter Hearts is powered by the apocalypse, and it's somewhere in between where you do have some stats, but a lot of the stuff you can do are more like skill based instead of a bunch of things.
Yeah, I think I've played the powered by the apocalypse system.
Yeah, it's real good.
I really want to play I'm getting back into Star Trek, so I really want to play either Star Trek tabletop RPG or just play Lasers and Feelings in a Star Trek setting.
Mm.
Probably the latter, because rules are hard.
Rules are very hard.
I think maybe I made it up. No, I think it's real. There's a Star Trek board game. It's long. That kind of like the whole intention of the game is to like capture a single episode, but it's like deck driven, which is pretty neat. But there's so many more Star Trek board games than I ever thought there could possibly be.
I'm sure.
So I'm not gonna find it, but it's a really good It's a really good like one-shot material for Star Trek to kind of bait the hook into, hey, you liked this, maybe we should get some source books and some dice.
So speaking of Star Trek, before we start this episode proper, I saw a meme earlier that reminded me of you, Bernard, so I'm sharing it to you live on the mic instead of just sending it to you on Discord. But it's a tweet that says, Star Trek is all the things I love. Teamwork, bureaucratic hierarchies, nautical systems, primary colors, philosophical quandaries, office parties, optimism, and Spock.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%. It is a very apt description of all of the good things about Star Trek. So let's talk about all the good things about Chapter 3, Days 1 through 3 of Trails from Zero. So last week we used the wiki, and the wiki had too much information, and I had to weed through a lot of it to make my notes. This week, the wiki did not have any information whatsoever. It was very, very bland, so I had to expound with Bernard's help the things. So if I skip something, it's probably not my fault, and yell at me, and we'll talk about it. So, when we last left our heroes, they had thwarted an attempt on the mayor's life, and the whole town started getting ready for the anniversary festival. So this week, we start the anniversary festival. This year's festival is celebrating the 70th anniversary of the state's founding and will run for 5 days. On the first day of the festival, the Triple S has the day off, and we see everyone doing their own things. Randy is gambling. Tio is playing video games with Jonah, which is very stupid and weird that the concept of hacking doesn't exist yet, but Puyo Puyo does. Like, computers are a super recent thing. Most people haven't even heard of the concept, but it had to be funny and make Tio and Jonah into gamers, because why not?
If you showed me computers and said, make something that this can do, I'd probably make Puyo Puyo.
It's true.
If you showed a 13-year-old the computer and said, isn't this cool? And they said, can I play on it? And you said no, and then they made fun of you, you'd make a game.
True.
Alexander Graham Bell was probably like, this is a telephone. And his kid was probably like, do you have games on your phone?
Can I play Angry Birds on that? So we see the chief drinking in a dive bar, and then we see Lloyd and Cecile go to watch the Arc-en-Ciel performance. Afterwards, Cecile goes to hang out with Ilya and Rixia, and Lloyd returns home. It doesn't show us what Ellie is up to, and I don't know if that is an oversight or will come up later that she was doing something else. We don't know. We didn't finish the chapter yet. So the team only gets that first day off during the festival, and we have to work the rest of the time. There's not anything like main plot happening. All of the plot critical things for the next few days are support requests, which is kind of really cool, because the plot right now is we don't have a bad guy. We're just working, and it's kind of cool. So the first required request is a missing persons request from St. Ursula. Dr. Joachim Gunter, their pharmacology specialist, keeps disappearing from his post, and they need us to go find him. We eventually do find him, and he's taking part in a fishing tournament, and he'll only return to work if we beat him. But even if we lose, he decides to return to work. Following this, the Triple S gets called to mediate another dust up between the downtown district's two gangs, and Estelle and Joshua get involved in it as well. There's a whole lot of talking, like ridiculous amounts of talking, and then Randy suggests that we settle it with a foot race around the downtown district, and amazingly everybody says yeah, and it like draws a crowd. It becomes like its own part of the celebration type thing. The three teams in the race, there are three teams in the race: Estelle and Joshua representing the Bracers, Lloyd and Randy representing cops, and Wazzy and Wald working together to represent the people who aren't narcs. During the race, Randy gets fired up and does something. He unleashes like a hidden power of some sort, and the cops win. After the race, Lloyd and Randy have some time alone, and Lloyd takes the opportunity to ask about Randy's past, wondering what the hell Randy did earlier, but Randy brushes it off. Afterwards, Estelle and Joshua ask the Triple S if they've heard about the Schwartz auction, which is held at the close of the festival each year. Ravash is involved in this event, and it's rumored to be a front for illegal activities of some sort, although it hasn't been proven. During this exchange, Joshua is like, hey, Randy, it looks like you're just like me. And Randy's like, maybe, but not really, but sort of. Intriguing. Is Randy a fucked up mass murderer? Who can say? Don't know what's up with that, but yeah, I can't even think of like logical connections there. Maybe they just like, is he a Ouroboros? No, because we met all of them already. Is he a robot doll from what's his face? Maybe
Watch it
so.
be something hilarious like, oh, you too are fan of insert fantasy sports ball team here.
Yeah, probably something like that. Or let's be honest, both of them probably know Cassius. That's what it is. So that concludes day 2, and we move on to day 3. The Triple S tries to locate a suspected smuggler, and they do eventually find the perpetrator with a bit of help from a mysterious woman named Kilika, which is not mysterious at all for all of us. We all instead said, oh my God, it's Kilika. Why are they saying mysterious woman for like 15 minutes? We know who this is.
Well, the Triple S doesn't know who she is.
She doesn't. They don't, but we do. She could have introduced herself and the Triple S just call her by name.
I'm Kilika from Trails in the Sky.
She is claiming to be an entertainment producer here to do business with Arkansas. We know that she had retired back to the Republic, but we don't know what she's doing. So I don't know if this is a front or if that's actually what she's doing right now. We'll have to play Kuro no Kiseki to find out. So in this quest, the party has to do some of the classic detectiving mini games like we've had in the previous ones, where we have to go in and interrogate a whole bunch of witnesses and find the holes in their story. There's one lady who, when you talk to her, says, I'm not suspicious. You should go talk to that person over there because they're suspicious and they're up to no good. And that's how she says hello. So obviously she's hiding something and doing it. But that is, my friends, a red herring. The right answer is somebody who drops a contradiction on a lore thing that we were supposed to have picked up on that I definitely did not. So I did. I harassed this lady for no good reason.
Well, you were just getting into character as a cop.
It's true.
I caught the contradiction. I felt real good about myself.
Proud of you. As when you get it wrong, Kilika is like, you stupid idiot, you got it wrong. You should have paid attention to blah, blah, blah. As Kilika was putting me in my place, I was like, oh yeah, that I remember that being a thing now. But next, there's an optional but incredibly significant support request, which introduces Sully, a homeless girl that gets recruited into the Arkansas because she shows off her acrobatic skills in front of them while attempting to evade arrest for stalking Ilya. She had been fucking with her stuff because she hates rich people and all of the systemic inequality that's all over Crossbell. And this is resolved by her getting the opportunity to join the privileged upper class, even though nothing about her grievances have changed. I really enjoyed the side quest as it happened, and it was going to go into my memorable moments. But then when I was taking notes, Sully has a very, very long wiki page. So this is probably some Cold Steel shit because she seems to not be a side quest character. Up next, the Triple S assists Jonah, the little dweeby boy, in his attempt to catch a hacker known as Kitty. Because of a whole bunch of technobabble bullshit, Tio has to do hacking at a terminal deep in the geofront while Jonah does his own hacking from his smelly lair. It's Bernard's joke. It's good. Lloyd accompanies Tio to the terminal while Ellie and Randy keep doing side quests. While preparing to do the hacking, Tio tells Lloyd that she knew Guy, Lloyd's older brother. Lloyd remembers the time that Guy left to escort a little girl and realizes that it was Tio. Though they knew each other only briefly, Guy left a big impression on Tio. And she comments that Lloyd reminds her of Guy, but he's very much his own person and shouldn't strive to be anyone else. She says that Guy had made a promise to her, but she doesn't want Lloyd to fulfill Guy's promise. She wants Lloyd to come up with his own, like have his own interactions with her. Come up if he decides to make a promise to take care of her, it's on his own merits, and she doesn't want him to feel beholden to what his brother did. Kitty does hacking better than Tio and Jonah, but they're able to determine that the terminal used by the hacker is located at the Rosenberg studio, which is weird because it shouldn't even have a terminal, because there's only 3 computers in the world. Why would you need competitive online multiplayer Puyo Puyo when there are only 3 computers in the world?
Because Greg and Sadie are beating me, and I need to get better.
But
so Tio and Jonah must have created this Puyo Puyo shit themselves, right?
They might have. They refer to it in dialogue like it's like one of the jokes, but this could just be the localizers having fun and making jokes. But they refer to it like it's a craze that the young kids are obsessed with. But like, I don't think fucking Tita's granddad has a real drive to be making any Puyo Puyo. And that plus the cops in Crossbell are the ones who have the internet. Why would you need online multiplayer Puyo Puyo? Though actually, now I'm thinking about it, Tita invented Puyo Puyo. That's what happened. And that's why Ren, who's Kitty is Ren. It's obvious. It's shown. Like while people are like, oh, it's at Rosenberg Studio, it flashes up a conversation with Ren to remind you that that's who it is, but they don't ever. Our cop friends are real bad cops, and they don't follow up on this at all. They're just like, huh, weird. It's at this place. Well, that's the end of our investigation. We're not going to go to Rosenberg Studio and meet up with Ren.
To be fair, hacking is not illegal.
It's true. Jonah reminds us.
So they don't really
time.
have any excuse to follow up on that.
True. As payment for helping them with Kitty, Jonah provides the Triple S with information on Ravash and the Swartz auction, which links Speaker Hartman to Ravash, and the Schwartz auction is real, confirmed. And that ends day 3. Days 4 and 5 will probably be a lot more plot interesting, but that's where we stopped for this week. Breaking up into smaller chunks because the whole chapter 3 would have been real big. But yeah, let's listen to some more fantastic music that we can listen to as much as we want because it's a Falcom game, and then we'll talk about our memorable moments. So yeah, one side quest that I really liked, because I did all of them this week because I played like the day after we recorded instead of 4 hours ago like normal, is there's a request to go help out the CGF at the Bellegarde gate because they got this new cool experimental tank car thing, and their leader got wasted and dropped the keys like off a balcony onto the top of a like light post, and they couldn't find him, and they needed us to help them find him, and it was very funny and very good. What about you guys? What memorable moments did you have?
Oh man, I'm trying to remember the side quests. I don't know. I did all of them. There's an optional side quest where which you can't complete by day 3, so I've only done most of it, but you have to go around all of Crossbell taking pictures of scenic sites, and I cannot imagine doing this without a guide.
Yeah, I tried to find any sort of inkling on what I was supposed to be doing, and I couldn't, so I was going to use a guide when I went through and did it.
Yeah, use a guide. I've been enjoying using a guide to help me make sure I get all the side quests and do them properly.
Yeah. I also really, really liked the foot race quest. It had a whole lot of talking, but Estelle was doing a lot of the talking, and Estelle is great, and I love her and miss her.
I love Estelle. The foot race was very silly. Let's see. The stalker investigation, that's the thing with Sully. Monster extermination. Counterfeit dealers we talked about. Yeah, no, not a lot interesting happened this week. It really would have made more sense to do just a huge episode on all of chapter 3, but that would have been impractical.
Yeah. So you get a small one as a treat. This is the price you pay for weekly, quote unquote weekly. Last week, Matt's internet was out for 4 days, so we couldn't record last week. But
fun fact, I set up the router wrong.
Nice.
That's what it was.
You love to see
I felt dumb.
Yeah, so
there was the fucking illegal parking side quest. That was oh my gosh.
Like the 3 cars that exist in this country.
Yeah.
Yes. There's like a half dozen cars, and 2 of them have the same license plate, and that's a really bold move by the perpetrators to just hope no one notices, which, to be fair, I would not have noticed.
Yeah. I did notice, but it was on the list, so I just let it happen, and there was nothing like in the cutscene, so I thought maybe it was a typo. But I'm guessing since you were using a guide, there was more to that.
Yes, you get extra detective points and you get told you did a good job if you notice that there's 2 that have the same license plate number, because that's illegal.
Do you put a ticket on both of them, or is one of them more illegal than the other?
Well, they're on the list, so you don't ticket them, but I think you have to investigate both of them, then investigate one again or something. You have to do something to make Lloyd be like, wait a second.
Okay. Yeah, I missed the wait a second part.
I forget what you have to do. It's probably not as clear, because ultimately you noticed this, so you should have gotten credit from the game for doing it if it was ideally designed. Yeah.
Oh, well. Another thing I just remembered, I actually took a picture of it, is so we go into Ilya's room to try and catch Sully stalking, And everyone's like, wow, look how fucking filthy this room is. And it pans around this immaculately cleaned room that has yesterday's clothes laid out on the bed and an empty wine bottle on the table. They're like, wow, Leah's really like a slob and letting herself go. And there's like nothing in the room. And I thought it was hilarious. And then another thing is the whole time Lloyd is like, we have to catch this little boy. We've seen this boy running around doing all the things. And then it goes and like catches Sully. And Sully's like, let go of me, you creepy old man. And Lloyd's like, what the hell are you talking about? And there's all this commotion and hubbub, and then at the end Sully's like, will you fucking stop misgendering me? I'm a girl, and takes her hat off and is like, I've been a girl the whole time. Are you blind and stupid? And everyone's like, yeah, Lloyd, are you blind and stupid? Why would you be so mean to this little girl? And it's great.
Takes her hat off and has shoulder length hair, and it's like, obviously there's a girl. No one in our party could be a man and have shoulder length hair.
Yeah, couldn't do that. That's impossible. But yeah, that's all I can remember. Interesting that happened.
And we're sort of stretching the definition of interesting.
Yeah, but like we had said, it's going to be a short episode because doing it with next week's would have been too big of an episode.
We're probably going to play next week, and then that'll be another like 30 minutes, and we'll be like, oh, oops.
Yeah, because the first half of this chapter was too summarized in the thing. Watch the next half be over summarized, and it's really, you walk into the party and say stop, and they say okay, and then credits. That's the end of the chapter. But we'll see. So yeah, that'll do it for the week. This series is a timed exclusive for our Ko-Fi supporters. So if you're hearing this in the podcast feed, come on over to www.rpgbook.club, where there will be a few extra episodes waiting on you when you donate. We now have membership tiers. So if you donate $1 more a month, you're a gadabout, and you get all of the normal stuff where you can vote on our polls, get access to these episodes early. But then we also have 2 more tiers. We have a $5 tier, our warrior tier, where we will shout out your name at the end of every episode, just like this. Shout outs to Floris and Kaldron, Freddie Rodriguez, Bernie L. Taylor, Aaron524, Anthony Lerma, Vimk, Jfro Prime, and Doho. And then if you really like us, there's a $20 a month tier called Luminary, where we will also read a 1-sentence plug of your choosing. Currently, we have 2 luminaries. One is Eliza Tandevi, and they want you to check out. I didn't write it in these notes. I wrote it in the Final Fantasy VII notes. Want us to check out globalgamejam.org. Which is a upcoming event to try out game development for 3 days, either alone or with a group, with a whole bunch of in-person sites and online sites spread up over the weekend between January 30th and February 3rd. So go and check that out. Our other luminary, Carr, is a dentist, so his plug is not for his Twitch stream, but for your own mouth, and he wants to remind you to brush your teeth twice a day, most importantly, the time right before you go to bed. For Book Club no Kiseki, I've been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
And I'm Matt Jorgensen.
Adios, amigos.